Have you ever felt it? That deep, almost ancient weariness, the kind of exhaustion that doesn't live in your muscles or your bones, but in the very core of your soul. It's not from a lack of sleep, not from working long hours or carrying too many responsibilities. No, this is a different kind of tired, the kind that lingers even after rest, the kind that creeps into the spaces between your thoughts, the kind that no amount of coffee, vacations, or checklists can shake. It's that silent moment when the inner warrior part of you that has fought, clawed, and climbed through every storm lays down their sword. Not in surrender to defeat, but in sacred surrender to the truth. A truth that whispers, in the gentlest yet most commanding way, you don't have to fight anymore. If these words are finding you now, know this isn't random. This is your soul's divine appointment, a frequency you were destined to encounter. It's the lifeline your spirit has been quietly calling for, a permission slip from the universe itself to release the struggle you've carried like a second skin. If you feel the resonance in your chest, like a vibration waking up long forgotten parts of you, honor it. Let the world know in the comments with a simple, I resonate, or I'm letting go. Declare it not just to me, not just to others, but to your own soul. Let this be your turning point. There comes a holy, unscripted moment in life when something inside you simply stops. Not because you've been broken, not because you've failed, but because a deeper intelligence within you, your higher self, finally whispers, enough. It's not a collapse. It's not a dramatic unraveling. It's more like an exhale that's been held in for decades. It's the moment when the part of you that has been pushing uphill, dragging the dead weight of expectations, blueprints, and timelines finally pauses. Maybe you've been trying to hold together a crumbling relationship, or forcing your career into a shape that never quite fits, or demanding answers from the universe that simply aren't ready to reveal themselves yet. You've been wrestling reality, trying to bend it to your will, convinced that if you just push hard enough, if you just try a little more, everything will finally fall into place. But the weariness has been growing, hasn't it? The tension in your shoulders that never quite softens, the shallow breath you've mistaken as normal, the constant low hum of anxiety you've carried like background noise, and then without ceremony, without fanfare, you simply let go. Not out of failure, but out of grace, out of wisdom, out of the quiet knowing that fighting hasn't brought you peace. And in that release, the world begins to shift. What no one tells you is that this surrender, this sacred letting go, is not weakness. It is the bravest act you will ever commit. True surrender is not a collapsite, it is a rise. A silent, dignified rise into alignment with the very rhythm of life itself. It is the moment when your frequency changes, when the air around you feels thinner, lighter, easier to breathe. Because here is the secret. Life was never responding to your force. It was waiting for your frequency to align with its flow. The paradox is breathtaking. When you finally stop trying to control, to micromanage, to demand answers on your schedule, the universe begins to move with you. The puzzle pieces you tried to hammer into place gently rearrange themselves. The people, opportunities, and solutions that seemed impossibly out of reach begin to arrive, not because your grip tightened, but because you finally created space for them to land. You got out of your own way. You laid down the heavy armor of certainty and allowed the infinite intelligence of life to show you a path you couldn't have mapped with your limited mind. This is the difference between striving and allowing, between forcing and flowing, between exhausting yourself and being carried. Let this truth sink deeper. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It is, in fact, the ultimate declaration of power. It is the embodied knowing that what is divinely meant for you is already in motion, already traveling towards you, drawn by the magnetic pull of your aligned being. It's the profound trust that says, I don't need to chase what's mine, it knows where to find me. And in that trust, you stop chasing life like a predator stalking its prey. Instead, you open yourself as a receiver of what has always been yours by birthright. You begin to live as if the universe is an ally, not an adversary. And when you live from this place, when you breathe, move, and act from trust instead of fear, life responds in kind. The universe, after all, is not indifferent to your vibration. It is tuned to it. This is the quiet revolution within, a shift so subtle the world might not notice at first, but so seismic in your own experience that you'll never be the same. You'll start to see it, the synchronicities, the effortless alignments, the miracles disguised as ordinary moments, and you'll understand they were never absent. You were simply too entangled in the noise to receive them. Yet most of the world is still caught in the noise. Most souls awaken each day already braced for battle, minds racing before the first sip of coffee, hearts armored against the next disappointment, the next challenge, the next betrayal. They fight not only the world, but time itself forever, sprinting toward a future they hope will finally validate their existence. They fight their bodies, punishing themselves for imperfections. They fight their emotions, suppressing anything that feels too tender, too raw, too real. And beneath it all, they are waging war with themselves, their pasts, their insecurities, the gnawing, ever-present fear that they are somehow not enough. But here's the truth they've forgotten, that maybe you've forgotten too. This constant fighting is not the evidence of your strength. It is the residue of your fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being unworthy. Fear that if you loosen your grip, if you dare to rest, everything will fall apart. But this fear is a lie, a beautifully crafted illusion. Because the universe was never asking you to hold it all together. It was waiting for you to remember that you were always held. So I ask you, what would it feel like to finally release, to unclench your jaw, to drop your shoulders, to take the first deep, honest breath you've had in years? To wake up not with dread or a to-do list rattling in your brain, but with the soft, revolutionary thought, I am enough. I don't have to prove it today. I don't have to earn my worth. What might open for you if you allowed yourself to trust that life is not a relentless race to be won, but a sacred dance to be experienced? Imagine moving through your day guided not by the desperate need to control, but by the quiet confidence that you are in flow, that you are being led. Imagine how your heart might soften, how your mind might clear, how your body might finally exhale, knowing you no longer need to carry the weight of the world alone. Because you don't. You never did. The universe has been holding you, waiting for you to release the death grip on how you think it all should go, so that it can finally show you the magic of how it can go. All it's ever asked of you is this: let go, trust me, and watch how everything begins to flow. But here is the secret that so few are ever told. Life is not a broken machine that you need to fix. It is not a wild beast that you need to tame or a complex equation that you need to solve. Life is a divine rhythm. It is a sacred piece of music, a cosmic symphony that has been playing since the dawn of time. Your only task is not to conduct the orchestra, but to learn to sync with its rhythm, to find your unique note and play it with all your heart. And just like with music, the more you tense up, the more you try to force the tempo or control the melody, the more offbeat and discordant your experience becomes. You lose the timing, you miss the subtle cues and the beautiful transitions. You try to rush through the slow, contemplative adagio, desperate to get to the triumphant crescendo, and in doing so, you miss the profound beauty and wisdom held within the pause. You miss the entire point of the song. The striving mind wants to skip to the end, but the soul knows that the journey, with all its varied tempos and keys, is the masterpiece. Real, unshakable peace, the kind that settles deep in your bones and doesn't vanish the moment you close your eyes, arrives when you stop needing to fix the moment. It blossoms when you release the need to judge your present reality against a fantasy of what you think it should be. It is born when you stop asking life to be something other than what it is. It is the profound relief that washes over you when you stop trying to hold the ocean in your cupped hands, and instead you simply allow its cool, healing waters to flow effortlessly through your fingers. And that, right there, is where the real magic begins. That is the portal to a new reality. Because in that state of allowance, in that vibration of trust, the universe can finally begin to conspire in your favor in ways you could never have orchestrated. That is when the right things, the aligned things, the truly resonant things start to show up for you. People who see your soul, not just your persona. Ideas that feel like divine downloads, dropping into your awareness with perfect clarity. Moments of synchronicity that feel like a wink from the universe, confirming that you are on the right path. All of these gifts arrive, not because you chased them down, but because you became an energetic match for them. You didn't give up, you aligned. You didn't become passive, you became a powerful receiver. You aligned yourself with the natural, effortless flow of how things are truly meant to move in your life. You became the calm, unwavering center in the midst of the storm. And you discovered that the storm itself was a product of your own resistance. When you are calm, the world around you begins to calm down. When you are at peace, you attract peaceful experiences. It is a universal law. Here is the truth that most people will spend their entire lives running from. Letting go is not just an act, it is a profound spiritual technology. It is not giving up on your dreams. It is the quiet, conscious, and powerful decision to stop holding yourself hostage to the outcomes you were never meant to control in the first place. You are a co-creator with the divine, not a lone dictator of your reality. Your power lies not in forcing the what, the when, and the how, but in holding the vision with love and trusting the universe to handle the details. Because the more desperately you cling to certainty, the more you demand to know every step of the path before you take it, the more life, in all its fluid, magical, and unpredictable glory, slips right through your hands. You start micromanaging every tiny detail-levery conversation, every email, every social interaction, every delay, every perceived setback. You analyze and overanalyze, trying to predict and preempt every possible negative outcome. You treat the universe as if it were a faulty appliance that you, with your limited human intellect, need to repair. You forget that the universe operates with an intelligence so vast, so intricate, and so loving that your mind cannot even begin to comprehend it. Life is not broken. It has never been broken. It is simply not operating on your ego's impatient schedule. And here's where the revelation becomes truly life-altering. The moment you genuinely, truly let go, not just saying the words, but feeling the release in every cell of your body, you stop living in a state of resistance. The war is over. You stop waking up with that crushing pressure, that heavy burden of needing to make things happen all by yourself. The weight lifts, you lay down the heavy shield of control and the sword of striving, and you stand in your authentic power, open and receptive. And instead of forcing, you begin noticing. You start perceiving what is already happening around you, the subtle magic that was always there, just beyond the veil of your anxiety. You notice the opportunities that were always present, hiding in plain sight. You hear the signals, the gentle nudges from your intuition that you used to miss amidst the clamor of your own thoughts. You experience a clarity that feels effortless, a knowing that arises from a deep, still place within you, not from a frantic mental calculus. You are not being lazy, you are not being passive. For the first time, you are finally moving with the powerful, intelligent, and loving current of life, not against it. Because the most ironic thing of all is that when you are hyper-focused on controlling the path, you completely forget to trust the divine intelligence that laid the path out for you in the first place. The pauses that you cursed as stagnation were actually sacred moments of integration and recalibration. The detours that you saw as frustrating delays were actually the universe lovingly rerouting you away from a dead end you couldn't yet see. The doors that slammed shut in your face, causing you so much pain and confusion, were not mistakes. They were divine protection. They were cosmic redirections. They were quiet whispers from your soul, trying to tell you, you don't need to push so hard. This is not your door. A better one is just around the corner. They were gentle reminders that you are still being led, even when you feel lost. You are still being held, even when you feel alone. And when this realization truly lands in your heart, you start to show up in the world differently. You become calm, not because everything in your life is suddenly perfect, but because you have finally understood the profound truth. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your own. It was a burden you were never designed to bear. And when you stop trying to control everything, something truly unexpected and beautiful begins to happen. Your very presence becomes magnetic, not because you are chasing validation or performing for approval, not because you are trying to be the best version of yourself 24 hours a day. It happens because people can feel your energy. They can sense the peace that radiates from you. They can feel that you are no longer operating from a place of fear. You are no longer in survival mode. You are not grasping or pleading or proving. You are simply being. And that authentic state of being, that grounded and centered energy, creates a profound sense of safety for everyone around you. It creates a gravitational pull. It draws people in, not because you are performing for them, but because you are so deeply and unapologetically aligned with your own soul. And that alignment is the most powerful force in the universe. When you are forcing life, you are trapped in your head. You are overthinking, overanalyzing, scripting every word before it's spoken, living in a constant feedback loop of worry and what-ifs. But when you learn to trust life, you drop back down into your body, into the wisdom of your heart. You start to notice your own breath again, the simple, life-giving rhythm of inhale and exhale. You learn to listen with your whole being instead of just reacting with your mind. You begin to speak from a place of deep calm, not from a place of frantic urgency. And this internal shift, this move from the head to the heart, changes the way people respond to you. Suddenly, You are not chasing attention anymore. It finds you. You are not demanding love. It flows toward you. Because when you stop forcing your way through life, you become someone who moves through life with a certain depth, a certain grace. You become someone who understands that silence can speak volumes more than noise, that waiting is not wasted time, but sacred preparation, and that being deeply grounded in your own truth is the most attractive and powerful energy you can possibly possess. So many souls exhaust themselves trying to be liked, trying to manage perceptions, trying to control the outcomes in their relationships, their careers, and even their own healing journeys. And in all this frantic doing, they miss the entire point. The less you feel the need to force, the more your life naturally and gracefully flows in the direction that was always meant for you. But you cannot fake this trust. You cannot intellectually decide to trust and have it be so. You have to build it, moment by moment, breath by breath. You build it by learning to sit in the discomfort of uncertainty without immediately trying to escape it. You build it by becoming okay with not knowing and still choosing to move forward with faith anyway. That is the path, and while it is not loud or dramatic, it is the only path that leads you back to the unshakable peace of your own center, back to your true self. As you begin to live from this sacred place of trust instead of tension, you will notice something else miraculous. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It arises from the quiet. When you stop forcing life, your inner world finally has the space to speak to you. Not in loud, obvious commands, but in subtle shifts, in gentle nudges, in that calm, deep knowing you feel when something just aligns, without any logical explanation. You have probably felt it before, that soft pull toward a decision that makes no sense on paper, but feels undeniably right in your chest. Or that profound peace that washes over you the moment you finally decide to let go of something you were clinging to with all your might. That is the voice of your divine clarity. But it doesn't shout. It only shows up when you have finally stopped making so much noise. Most people drown out this voice, not because they want to, but because they have been conditioned to believe that life is a battle to be won through hustle and grind. They have been taught to think their way through every scenario until they have outsmarted the great unknown. But the ultimate truth is this: the unknown is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. It holds everything your mind cannot predict, but your heart already feels. It is the fertile ground from which all new possibilities are born, and the moment you stop trying to conquer it and instead start to co-create with it, your entire reality begins to unfold in a different way. You start walking into rooms with less fear and more presence. You start making choices that feel lighter, more authentic. You stop desperately searching for signs, and instead, you become a living sign yourself, because you have finally built trust, not just in life, but in the deepest part of yourself. And from that sacred space, you no longer need to force clarity. You simply receive it. You don't need to force success. You align with it. You don't need to force connection. You attract it through the sheer power of your peaceful, present, and authentic being. That is the energy shift that people can't quite put their finger on, but they feel it the moment you walk into the room. And you will feel it too when you stop asking life to hurry up, and instead, you allow it to meet you right where you are. Once you truly start to embody this trust, not pretending, not forcing, but deeply living it, you will notice the world begins to mirror back a different version of you. People respond to your energy before they even process your words. And when your energy is no longer rooted in desperation, tension, or the need to prove anything, you become magnetic in a way that cannot be logically explained, only felt. You see, control is a language that whispers of insecurity. It says, I don't trust what's coming, so I must shape it myself. But surrender is not passive, it is profoundly powerful. It says, I trust that what is meant for me is already moving toward me. I do not need to chase it, only receive it when it arrives. And that energy, that trust, that quiet confidence, it changes everything. It is the calm confidence that makes people feel safe around you. It is the quiet depth that makes others want to lean in. It is the peace in your eyes that tells someone, even without words, that you have seen life's chaos and you didn't let it break you, you let it build you, and now you are not clinging to life. You are flowing with it, like a river that has finally stopped fighting the current and has instead become one with its powerful, inevitable, and beautiful journey to the sea. This is why the moment you stop seeking, stop trying to fix, chase, earn, or control, is the moment you start to experience life through a completely new lens. You begin to receive support from the most unexpected places. You cross paths with people who feel like divine alignment, not like hard work. You start to feel as though time itself is working with you, not against you. And this is not magic, it is not luck. It is what happens when your nervous system finally shifts out of a state of fear and into a state of profound trust. It's what happens when your energy says, I am okay, even here, even now. And the universe, in its infinite love, responds, good. Now let me show you just how okay you truly are. This isn't just a mindset, it's an energetic invitation. And the more you live in that sacred space of invitation, the more the right things, not just anything, start arriving, without force, without struggle, but with the divine grace of perfect timing.